no job, no college, just a college dropout and a prison girlfriend.
Desiree Marhofer is the entrepreneur who, from the depths of being a prison girlfriend and surviving profound abuse, forged a multi-campus skincare academy across the Front Range, turning her trauma into a beacon of empowerment for countless women.
By the end of my freshman year in college, I did decide to drop out. I flunked out. That was one of those moments where I was like, lost confidence, right? Even on a subconscious level, I'm like, I don't even deserve to be in college. So I wasn't working. I wasn't going to school. Some of us go through that party phase, that kind of crazy phase, and became involved and wrapped up. And this man, he became very controlling.
What does it take to leave a situation like that?
It was hard because I'm just such a connector and a people pleaser, and I really just want to serve.
Welcome back to the COS Business Podcast.
#1 podcast in Colorado Springs. Today's sponsor is Prolift Garage Doors. It's prolift.com.
So today we have on an awesome guest, someone who's built I would say like some big companies. You're doing some big things across the Front Range,
Yeah.
helping people, educating people, and running your spas as well too. I want to kind of dive into like what was going on before you started like getting into starting your businesses. What happened to that journey? Because we were talking a little bit before, and I'm curious to dive into that.
Being an entrepreneur was not something that I ever dreamed of. It wasn't even something that I wanted to do. Back when I was, I would say, high school age, graduating high school, everybody was going off to college, right? Like back then, that was the path. Like beauty school was shunned upon. It was not even really something that was available in my hometown community. And so I found myself struggling through high school. So it became like super daunting to me to even want to go the college path. But I would have been a first-time college graduate if I went that path. So parents were like, just go, do it. And so I enrolled after high school into the university in my hometown in Pueblo. And I kind of didn't do well. I struggled with the academic part. And I'm like, gosh, those limiting beliefs kind of creeped in. I'm like, I'm not smart enough. I'm not equipped to even get through this 4 years. But I was committed to trying to do it. And I, continued that first year of college, that freshman year, and I did kind of start flunking, and I did start struggling through it. And I found myself dreading to go to classes. And I met a boy at 18 years old, and that became another distraction for me. And I ended up being really fascinated with his lifestyle. He called himself an entrepreneur. And I was 18 and he was like 21 at that time. And I was like, man, that life looks really appealing. Free time, travel, come and go as you please, wake up late if you want, and I just became very intrigued by that lifestyle. Became involved very quickly with that boy at that time, and things moved progressively quick. We ended up becoming in a serious relationship, and by the end of my freshman year in college, I did decide to drop out. I flunked out. And that was one of those moments where I was like, lost confidence, right? Even on a subconscious level, I'm like, okay, like I don't even deserve to be in college. So I wasn't working. I wasn't going to school, and I was in a phase in my life. And I think some of us go through that party phase, that kind of crazy phase, and became involved and wrapped up. And this man, he became very controlling in that time of my life. I was a young 18, 19-year-old girl just trying to figure life out. And I remember just more of the control and more of the, manipulation. And before I knew it, I became involved with an abuser. And that man physically assaulted me at 19 years old. So that was a devastating time in my life. And here's what I remember. Family creeping in right away to save me. And permanent restraining orders were put in place. And I felt protected. I did. And I was like, okay, maybe I need to get away. Maybe this just isn't the right path for me. But I was unsure about the college path, right? Like I was struggling in college, but my parents insisted, like, let's get you out of Pueblo and let's move you to Fort Collins. I had a best friend going to Fort Collins at that time. And I said, what the heck? Like, let me get out of this situation and let me go to Fort Collins and see what it has for me. So we moved to Fort Collins. I thought that past was behind me and I'd start fresh, and I started college again. But this time it was community college. And I said, I could probably do okay in community college. Like, it shouldn't be too hard. Started back up that second year of college, and of course I struggled. I struggled again. I struggled in math. I struggled in English. All those core classes made me feel so just inadequate, incompetent, right? Like, I'm just like, what is my path? If I can't even get through these classes, like, what am I going to do with my life? I was only doing it because I believed that it was the only path for me at that time. And I didn't want to disappoint my parents. And I needed to get out of that situation. So that second year goes by. And again, I find myself struggling, not passing these classes, just completely broken down from a person of who I was at that time. And I look back at this now and I think, how did I end up there? But I ended up back with him. I ended up back in the same situation with my abuser.
It's probably because you were so stressed about everything in life, and like, so it was probably easy for you to let that in or something. Like,
I feel like that was like the energy, right? It's like, if you're in that energy of like, this is all I'm worth, and this is all I can get in my life, then you just kind of settle for what is presented to you. And so I flunked out of my second year of college. I ended up back with my abuser, and I moved back home with my parents after the failure of college. And this time was a little bit different. I wasn't as afraid of him because he was on his way to being sentenced to prison. So I knew that he was in that stage of, he couldn't hurt me, he couldn't abuse me. I became the support person for him. I became the best friend and the confidant that he needed to get through that sentencing and that, that time in his life. So he ended up in federal prison in Canyon City, which was an hour drive from me, right? So couldn't be out of state. Like, it had to be in Colorado still. So of course I felt compelled and,
trapped, maybe?
Trapped is a great word, to go and support and visit. No job, no college, just a college dropout and a prison girlfriend at this moment in my life at 19 years old.
We're going to take a quick break to thank our sponsors. Reveal Med Spa. Look and feel your best at Reveal Med Spas. With personalized plans that deliver real results, radiant skin, restored confidence, and natural rejuvenation.
At Reveal Med Spa, we see you more than just aesthetic and wellness treatments. We provide a safe, judgment-free space where you feel valued, heard, and supported.
Visit revealmedspas.com.
I think it is literally just that too. We'll just double check. Book your next session at revealmedspas.com. That's revealmedspas.com.
Home Day. Buying a home shouldn't be overwhelming. Home Day empowers you to save on your mortgage by putting you in control of the process. Lower your cost and take the next step towards home ownership with ease. Visit gethomeday.com today.
Fast Signs. From banners to vehicle wraps, Fast Signs delivers custom visual solutions to help your business stand out. Their team ensures your message is clear, bold, and effective. Get your signage needed handled at fastsigns.com. That's fastsigns.com. Epic Eyewear. Stylish, affordable, and designed for adventure, Epic Eyewear has the sunglass and eyewear you need to see life more clearly. From the mountains to the beach, protect your eyes with high-quality frames and lenses. Check out their collection at epiceyewear.com. And by the way, Andrew, we do have a special discount, COSBP15, for 15% off, I believe.
Cars Helping Charities. Turn your unused cars into a meaningful contribution with Cars Helping Charities. They make it easy to donate your vehicle to support local causes. One of the local charities that we like to support on behalf of Cars Helping Charities, actually, and part of their sponsorship is Mattersville. And check them out too.
They're awesome. They are a tiny house community for veterans suffering with PTSD. They have a property out in Yoder, Colorado, and then they also have one in Sedalia, Colorado as well.
Donate today and make a difference. Visit carshelpingcharities.org. That's carshelpingcharities.org.
Dream Accounting Solutions.
Take the stress out of managing your books with Dream Accounting Solutions. They provide reliable expert accounting services tailored to small businesses. Simplify your finances at dreamaccountingsolutions.com. That's dreamaccountingsolutions.com.
Exponential Impact. Exponential Impact is driving innovation and entrepreneurial success in Colorado Springs. Supporting startups with mentorship, funding, and community resources, they help businesses grow and thrive. Learn more about their impact at exponentialimpact.com. That's exponentialimpact.com.
And now let's get back to the show.
So I'm driving to this prison every visiting hour, every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I did this. I remember doing this for weeks and weeks and weeks at a time. And then by the time I knew it, it started to become fall, like the season of fall. And I remember driving there one Sunday after church. And I was like, man, this drive sucks. Like this drive, I just don't want to do this anymore. And I could remember that day and that moment kind of just crying out to God and asking him to like move in my life, to give me some sort of discernment, some sort of path so that I don't have to just do this every weekend and feel like that was all I had to live for, right? And so I wiped my tears off, got to the visitor center, went through security, and it felt like just another normal prison visit day. But as I walked through and he was in his normal seat, this day was a little bit different. I look over and I see a woman's hair sitting faced back to him. And I was thinking, okay, maybe he has another prison girlfriend and this is my opportunity to like break up, right? So I go up, kind of walk up close, and I'm like, hey, and I recognize her. And this woman, I hadn't seen her in years. I sat down beside them and I recognized her, and it was his mother. And she knew about the assault and she knew what had happened to me, and she kind of knew, my journey, but we weren't close enough to have conversations or anything like that. I never felt like I could lean on her for advice. Sat down, chit-chatted, and this was the moment, you guys, this was the moment that kind of just shifted everything for me. Because when I sat down and before I can even get a word out, she said, Desi, what are you going to do with your life? Mm-hmm. And as you can imagine, where I was feeling in that moment in time was worthless, shameful, and just not good enough. And I remember feeling those feelings and just almost breaking down and looking at her and just saying, this is what I do. I come and I visit your son. This is who I am and this is what I do. And she looked at me, and in that moment, she said, you should be an esthetician. And I was like,
it's pretty exact.
What? I'd never heard of it. I had never thought of it. And I asked her again, what is that? And she said, you should be an esthetician. I think you'd be amazing at that. Someone that does skincare and makeup. I think you would be amazing at that. And in that moment, I can just remember feeling the wave of like hope and inspiration run through my veins. I was like, man, there's something there for me. But I actually stopped for a moment and I sat with that and I was like, holy shit. Like, this is the very first time I've ever experienced female empowerment to the depth of what I'm feeling today. And I sat there and I thought, that's not what I heard. What I heard was, this isn't for you. This path, not for you. This life, not for you. Go. Get away. Go chase your dreams. That's what I heard that day.
What a story.
Crazy, right?
Yes.
From the prisoner's mother. She empowered me that day. She helped me believe in myself. So I borrowed her belief that day.
Mm-hmm. You stepped away?
And everything changed. And I never went back to the prison. I met my husband 2 weeks later.
No joke.
Yeah. Crazy. My
The
whole
one I
life
know?
changed.
The one I met?
Yes.
Nice.
The one you met 20-some years ago. In a moment, my whole life shifted. My whole path shifted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I borrowed her empowerment and her belief in me. And so people ask me all the time, why are you so like about women empowerment? What, like, you don't just like talk it, you walk it. And I think it's because of that moment. It was so real for me. Not a friend, not a family member, not any teacher, anyone in my
ally,
life.
maybe even.
Never have I felt that depth of empowerment in those 19, 20 years in my life. So it was impactful. And she doesn't even know to this day how she impacted that moment that just changed that trajectory for me. I never went back to the prison. I never saw him again. Everything changed. And of course, I became an esthetician. A few years later, of course, but that's what set it. And I think that's the story behind the story. A lot of people know, I was an esthetician and I struggled building a business and,
And there's a big story behind that
there's
too.
There's a big story behind that. But that's how I got started. And yeah, that's why I'm really passionate about what we do in our business is we empower women. We help them believe in themselves and believe in a bigger vision for their life because that's what was given to me. So
do you think that you've achieved that same feeling that you felt that day
100%
with other women?
100%. Like that moment, I hope and pray that I give women that feeling that it's like they can realize their potential and not have to be defined by what they went through, who they were, their struggles, their adversities. There's no shame in it, right? I had carried shame for a very long time to talk about being a prisoner's girlfriend. Mind you, like he was a drug dealer. Like that, there's shame to that. So like my whole past was shameful and I kept that. But it's such a important part of what led me to this that it took me a while to like connect the dots and realize like, okay, like without that path, without that moment, who knows if I would have found aesthetics? Who knows if I would have felt the depth of empowerment that I do today, right? It might have just been just a career with not enough feeling behind it.
You also make people feel good just by, doing your service.
Yeah. And that's where it starts, right? It starts by just making people feel beautiful, feel empowered, feel good about themselves. But what I realized over the course of like starting my aesthetics journey and building and hiring, and it's like, it's transformation.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you want to be able to help someone transform their life and feel like they can reach their fullest potential, that they can believe in their dreams, that they can remove those fears and those limiting beliefs. So that's what we do in the school. And that's what I'm most passionate about. I served in the treatment room for a very long time. And I built a beautiful, beautiful, successful clientele and successful business over a decade. But what I realized through that was my passions, my drive for what I do is to help people have their own transformations and to provide a space and an opportunity to do that.
I think your academy,
Yeah,
that's more
through the
important than the actual learning the skill.
Yeah.
But obviously that's important too.
Yeah.
But your school offering that mindset and the mindset shift
Yes.
and what is the limiting beliefs, breaking through that, that's huge for people, because if you can get through that, then the school is worth it in
so
itself right there, just
powerful.
that.
That's kind of what makes us different, I think. You know, we're not just any beauty college. We really are what I would call a personal development company. In a roundabout way. We teach the skills, we teach the fundamentals, but they're getting this mindset development, this entrepreneurial mindset, this resilience building, this, you know, confidence building. And that is so important today, especially we see these young women that just lack the skills, the communication skills, the confidence, the resiliency. They're just kind of struggling in that area, maybe because they went through COVID and there's like a lack of, you know, confidence in that area.
For sure.
To connect, to build rapport, to feel like they can see their future bigger than what it is. And that's what we sell. We sell borrowed belief. I think that's important to know.
Yeah, that's so true. I think for one, like observations here, because I've just been taking all in what you said, is like you're an unbelievable storyteller, because I know you haven't told that story many times, at least publicly.
I know.
And
this is the
we're
first time publicly.
We're in every detail of that story.
Thank
It was
you.
engaging for sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for holding space for me.
Absolutely,
In that way.
yeah.
It's beautiful, and it means so much, because women are going to be able to latch on to that story, because unfortunately that story of being in an abusive relationship or Stockholm syndrome, all those different types of things, so many women are going through
that.
And it's just, it's so tough to see the other side of that and to understand that you felt that self-worth
Felt it
during that moment, and to get out of that situation takes a Herculean effort to do that. So thank you again for sharing that. One thing I did pop up, a couple things popped up in my head when you were talking about it, but like, what would it mean for you to talk to his mother and say thank you? Or is it not even something that you need to do? But talk about that too, because I feel like that's full circle for you to kind of engage in this moment. And maybe to touch base with her.
I think that's such an interesting question. And I've never thought of that before, in the way of like, what would it mean to me? I've forgiven him in my own way. And I think that I've honored her through this storytelling, but to actually tell her to her face or to make a connection, I don't believe that she knew she was empowering me. I do believe that that was an act of God. I believe that there was something happening on a spiritual level to where that's what I heard was empowerment. That's what I felt was empowerment. I don't truly believe that maybe that's where she was coming from. But it's what I took from it. And I think that's what is so important, is that was the message that I needed. Whether it was from her own authenticity or not is irrelevant to me. It set me down a path of hope. That's it. All I needed was hope. And she was the conduit for that hope. So I've reconciled some things in my own way. And I don't feel like I need to.
That's just a beautiful, it makes complete sense to me, for sure. What does it take to leave a situation like that? Because it's more than just like you walk away, hands clean, you walk out. And I mean, I'm sure there was some level of other external friend groups that you had to shed as well. And
beliefs
and just like, I'm sure it took so much effort to kind of pull yourself out of that life, because you're probably in there with the boyfriend, but there's also probably some friends you had that
absolutely
were not, you know,
it's a whole
best
lifestyle
group, for sure.
It's a whole energy. it's everything. And I think that for me, it was hard because I'm just such a connector and a people pleaser. And I really just want to serve people. And when I realized that there were people that were not serving me at my highest level anymore, and there were people that were encouraging me to stay for the lifestyle or encouraging me to continue this relationship, I had to do deep inner work, deep healing work
for sure,
to be able to reconcile with like, it's okay to let this part of your life go. And if those friendships and relationships end, it's for your highest and best. And so I did lose relationships through that and friendships. And but what's so cool about that is that it opened doors for new people in my life, new relationships, my husband being one of them. One of the biggest pivoting moments for me was that I ended up feeling like worthy enough to just be able to get a job, be able to like go and work and earn. I was so low that I couldn't even do that. In that time, I was so dependent and reliant on the lifestyle and what I was used to. But to actually feel an independence and to feel a confidence of like stepping out, I got my first job after all of that at Big Five Sporting Goods, and I was a cashier, and that's where I met John, my husband.
Oh, that's cool.
And he was my assistant manager. So, you know, he was in a leadership role. I looked up to him. I saw this masculine energy that I really respected in a different way than I was used to. And I think I have to give him some credit because he actually helped me get my confidence back, get that self-esteem back up to where it was like, hey, no, like, you are good enough. You are worthy. You can do whatever you want, you know? So it was him and my parents and my sisters that were really the structure and the foundation that I needed to like not look back, right? To not feel shame around my past, to not feel like I had to go back because it's what I knew. It was a hard time. It was a hard transition because your brain's like, well, this is easy. This is what you know, but then this is hard. And so I stuck through that and I pushed through the hard. I was like, okay, like I'm a cashier. This is what I am right now. And I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if I have big aspirations even. I didn't. If you think about it, like I was just trying to survive. I was just trying to get out of that relationship. I couldn't even see beyond that. So working as a part-time cashier felt like a lot for me. It felt overwhelming. It felt like, is this all I'm going to do? But thankfully, when you get the right people around you and you get the right influence and the right voices and the right support, it does help to speed up the process of healing. And for me, it was very quickly. I think I found aesthetics shortly after that. So
we'd like to take a quick break and thank our sponsors.
Pioneer Rodeo.
The Pioneer Rodeo is back August 15th through the 17th at Norris Penrose Event Center with 2 nights of rodeo and wild demolition derby finales.
Tickets go on sale June 1st. Details at pioneerrodeo.com.
Bolton Co. Executive Coaching.
Up feels better than stuck. You know that. But in this market, how do you get unstuck and get ahead as an executive?
Our guy, JB, is an executive coach at Bolton Co. Coaching, where he believes you don't have to change who you are. You just need an injection of effectiveness and a proven competitive edge roadmap for your way up. Head to boltonco.net. That's boltonco.net. Prolift Garage Doors. Prolift Garage Doors are your locally owned and operated residential and commercial garage door experts. From fast repairs and smooth replacements to routine tune-ups, they keep your doors running like new.
Go with the pros at Prolift Garage Doors.
Visit proliftdoors.com to learn more. Be Our Guest Getaways. Be Our Guest Getaways specializes in Disney cruise resort and theme park vacations.
Planning a Disney vacation can be stressful, Let Be Our Guest Getaways provide you with concierge-level service for free.
Learn more at beourguestgetaways.com. That's beourguestgetaways.com.
Planet Duct. Planet Duct is the #1 choice for professional air duct cleaning in Colorado Springs and Southern Colorado. With state-of-the-art equipment and top-tier service, they make sure the air in your home or business is clean and allergen-free. Breathe easier with Planet Duct. Learn more at planetduct.com.
Awesome Home Services. Awesome Home Services delivers top-notch HVAC solutions for your home. Whether you need heating, cooling, or system maintenance, they ensure your comfort year-round. Visit awesomeservice.com for your HVAC needs. That's awesomeservice.com.
Proud American Electrical and Solar.
Give Proud American Electrical and Solar a call today for all your electrical and solar needs. They are locally owned and operated business right here in Colorado Springs. If you're looking for information on solar, this is the company you will want to call. Check out their website at proudamericansolar.com. Use promo code COS Business for a 5% discount today.
Pinnacle Advanced Primary Care.
Pinnacle Advanced Primary Care offers affordable, accessible healthcare with a focus on you. They provide exceptional primary care without the hassle of insurance barriers. Experience a patient-centered approach. Learn more at pinnacleapc.com.
And now let's get back to the show.
Was there any books or like any things you were like, I don't know, like any guidance or any teachers or any mentors that you had that were kind of helping you through that? You said voices.
So at this time I was 20 and I wasn't into personal development. Mm-hmm. I wasn't into anything. Didn't know about Tony Robbins. Didn't know about any inner healing work, nothing. What I had was my faith to kind of rely on. I remember a lot of prayer, a lot of just quiet moments with myself, because those voices would come in like, you're not good enough. Like, just go back. Like, it's easy. Like, you know what to expect in that world and you're going to be provided for. So that I was intrigued by the entrepreneurial world. It was a different kind of entrepreneur, but it intrigued me. And so I did start to look into like what business, ownership could look like. And I didn't even know what type of business, but I would always dream about like working for myself. Well, if I worked for myself, what would that feel like? And I would feel it and I would think about it, but no books, no mentors, just quiet time and space and prayer in my 20s. And then shortly after, finding aesthetics and going on that path, I found a whole world of personal development and healing and support and mentors and coaches. And it's just a whole world that it blows your mind how much is available to us.
For sure.
I didn't even have that.
And it grows.
Yeah.
Like the things that we have available to us now, in 2010, we probably like half. In like the 90s, it was even less, like there was basically only Tony Robbins in the 90s.
Right, at that time. And I didn't even know about him. I'm trying to think.
There's a few other people.
Yeah.
Les Brown. There's a couple of faith-based ones too, like John C. Maxwell.
Yeah. So funny story, went to high school, mixed in with this guy that entered the personal development space, and he was from my hometown, and he invited me to a meetup, and his name was George Carroll, and he has very successful in the personal development space, has worked for Tony Robbins, has written many books, and he's from Pueblo, Colorado. And he actually invited me to one of his meetups, and I was one of like 4 people that showed up. And this was in the early 2000s. And I was so intrigued by the subconscious work that he talked about. That is the first introduction that I had to subconscious reprogramming. And he was an NLP practitioner at that time. So neuro-linguistic programming was the very first modality that I got exposed to. And I was like, this is fascinating. I want to learn more. And
is that before or after you started the business?
That was a little bit after.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah. So started Beautiful You Skincare Studio in 2009.
That's
2009. Yeah. So that's
like the name.
So yeah. So 2005 is when I got licensed. there was some things that happened in between that. I worked for somebody. I was an employee for a while.
Yeah.
Realized I didn't like that setup.
It helped you learn though, I bet.
Yeah, it was good. I learned that I wanted to be a leader because I didn't like the way that I was being led. And that was my first experience, like being in a beauty setting. Got my license, worked for a hair salon, and I just felt like the leadership was lacking for me and the development was lacking. And this is a kind of an interesting story because I never really truly believed that I would open up my own business. Like I wasn't financially prepared, mentally, emotionally, but I went to her. This was in 2009. I was 6 months pregnant with my second child. And I remember going to her and I was like, hey, I really want to bring on some advanced modalities. Microdermabrasion, chemical peels. Those were like the things that just hit the market. And I was like, I want to get these certifications. I want to learn this. I want to bring this in. I went to her and I asked her, can we bring this on? She said, let me think about it for a day. And I'm like, okay, that's weird, but okay. Get back to me, let me know if I can invest, if I should invest or not. And when she came back the next day, she said, I don't think I want the liability for this services. And at that moment, I had to sit back and I had to say, okay, do I stay the same, continue just doing basic facials and waxing, or do I grow? So her no for me, her rejection for me was the catalyst to going out on my own. And I thank that opportunity every day, because had she been like, yes, I might have just stayed an employee, as long as I can continue to grow and progress as an esthetician, I was happy. I didn't need to make a lot of money. I didn't need to have a lot of clients. I just wanted to feel fulfilled in my work at that time. And so I wanted to get these advanced certifications under my belt. And when she said no, I said, all right. And I was 6 months pregnant, right? So it's like, okay, I go to my husband and I'm like, do we open a business or do I be a stay-at-home mom? Like I have two options right now. And he's like,
two very opposite.
I know.
Right,
exactly.
right. Because we had two small children and I was thinking he might think I'm crazy for wanting to open up. And he said, just do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
What is it? Just go for it. He funded my whole venture, my little solo startup, 1 room, 1 treatment room, 300 square foot space, me and 30 brow wax clients. And I tell this story to the students because it's so funny to think about how you can build from virtually nothing. I tell them I built this entire empire from 30 brow wax clients. And they're like,
what do you say?
what?
Brow wax?
Brow wax, yeah.
Oh, brow wax. Okay.
Brow wax.
Gotcha.
At that time, they were $10, okay?
Oh, man.
So I had 30 people that followed me from the hair salon. We didn't have social media. I didn't have Facebook. I didn't have a way of, I had to trust that the ad that I put in our local newspaper, they would find me and they would follow. So I left, I opened up the studio and I prayed for a few clients to follow me. My booth rent was $300. So I knew as long as I can pay that, I would be fine.
Yeah.
30 brow wax clients followed, which was exactly my rent.
And so they need brow waxes every month?
Every month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
As long as I could pay my rent while I was, building, I was good. And so I had that. I took 2 weeks off for maternity leave, which I don't recommend.
Yeah.
Because that's not a lot, but it was a brand new business and I wanted to get back going, I wanted to get it up and running. So got back, hit it full force, got those certifications under my belt. And honestly, it took off.
Wow.
It took off. I was booked solid within 6 to 9 months. I had a full book of business.
From the newspaper ad, or what do you?
I think it was just the service that I was providing at that time because we didn't have the marketing.
Oh, okay.
I didn't do.
No one else was doing that, right?
No one else was.
It was a demand.
I
thing.
was kind of like first to market too. So let's just put that out there. Like I was the first esthetician really to hit it hard in Pueblo to open up a skincare studio, the very first skincare studio, offering advanced treatments, right?
That's awesome. So you're an OG over there in
So
Pueblo.
kind of like the OG of Pueblo.
Nice.
And we, saw the need increase. We saw the demand increase. My my marketing at that time was just great service.
Because they do a great job, right?
Excellent service. It was repeat clients. It was upselling services. It was retailing. All the things we teach in my academy is what I was doing. I built my first 6-figure solo business that very first year in business.
Wow. First time entrepreneur too.
Yeah.
Wow.
First time entrepreneur, hit 6 figures that very first year in Pueblo doing $10 brow waxes and $50 facials. So when people tell me it's not possible today, I'm like, I was doing the cheapest of the cheapest.
Yeah.
Which meant I had to see double the
A
clients.
lot
really.
of people to make those numbers work, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you can only service so many people in a
In
day.
a day,
So
right.
you kind of capped out if you're just you.
Yeah.
And I think from my research, that was actually the first few years something you were
was.
struggling with, right?
Yeah. I was.
How did you get through that?
Yeah. I was struggling to like figure out if I wanted to just stay solo or if I wanted to hire a team, right? Because that's the breaking point for most entrepreneurs when they're like afraid to give up their clients. There's a lot of fear that comes with that. So I struggled with that for 2009 and 2010. But because John was savvy at running teams and he was managing, at that time, he had so much insight to give and so much coaching to offer me when it came to hiring people and how to train and develop them. And so I'm not saying my very first hire was a success, because maybe it wasn't. I think it took some time to figure it out. But by 2010, I just bit the bullet and I said, okay, I can't continue to work like this. I'm going to work myself to death. I'm going to burn out. I was making great money, but I was like, you're exhausted, right?
Yeah.
You're just like
You're a prisoner to your own business.
churning them out. So I decided to take that leap of faith and I said, all right, I'm going to hire one esthetician. And funny story, it was someone who was in school. She became an apprentice for me. She learned from me. She developed her skill from me and I trained her. And the rest is kind of history. It became the model, which is kind of crazy because I think about it now and I'm like, man, I wanted this super successful med spa salon, but it just became a training facility ultimately. When I look at the history of Beautiful You Skincare Studio, we would train them right out of school. We would hire them, onboard, train, and then they would build a clientele and leave.
Right.
I think I told you that story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, let's talk
So
about
that was the struggling part for me. And that's what led to the school. But do you want me to share that crazy moment that I figured out it was time to pivot?
Yeah,
to the
absolutely.
school? Okay. So every time I have a pregnancy, I feel like I have a
That's
a
awesome.
huge awakening.
Yeah.
So it was my last baby. Okay. So we were at 2017. So we were probably at a little bit over a decade of running the spa. I had been through dozens and dozens of estheticians. So, revenue would grow, and then they would leave. And I would feel the impact and I'd have to go back to the treatment room and serve. And that was not a sustainable business model because I had almost 4 kids at this time. I wanted vacations. I wanted time off. The business model for that particular studio setup didn't work. I didn't do no competition contracts. I didn't believe in any of that. I believed in we're going to build something together. And if it's aligned, it's aligned. If not, okay. But it was at the detriment of my own health, my time, my energy. So this was the moment that shifted for me. I was on that 4th pregnancy with my son, Maxton, and I knew I wanted to take a maternity leave because I hadn't. If I remember me telling you, the 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that was all I ever took. I had some really solid rock stars in place. I wanted a 3-month maternity leave, and I planned for that one. And I had a really great esthetician in place. She was a family friend, or a family relative, shall I say. So I was locked in. We were good. We were She's like, I got you, Des. You take all the time you need. I'm going to step in. I'm going to take care of these clients for you. You're going to enjoy a maternity leave. So working pregnant, you know, getting set up, getting ready to exit on maternity leave. And, you know, when someone comes to you and says, can we have a chit chat? That's always the feeling that I get, was like,
hitting your stomach kind of feeling.
Yeah. So it was the Friday before my maternity leave started on Monday. And my Rockstar esthetician that was going to take over asked to have a chat. And I was like, absolutely. Let's come in my treatment room. Let's chat. What's going on? And I can remember her saying, Des, she's like, this is extremely hard for me. This is the hardest thing that I've ever had to decide to do. She said, but I have an amazing opportunity to go out on my own and I can't pass it up. I just can't. I have to go solo. I can't pass up this opportunity. And I just said, okay, what does that look like? How long? When do you plan on leaving? And she said, I've got to leave. Like, tonight's my last night. So, as you can feel, the betrayal hit over my, you know, all the feelings, all the victimhood, the energy, the sadness, the grief. And I just said, just go ahead. I'll be okay. And I cried in my room that night again, because it had happened so many times, but that time was so different because I didn't have a backup plan, which is not very smart. And I realized, man, am I not going to get a maternity leave? Am I going to have to come back? Well, pretty much I didn't have much to think about. I had to go deliver a baby the next week. On Monday, I had a scheduled induction. So, you know, it was all a blur, to be honest. She exited. She took clients. She took my clients. She took everything. And I didn't even have time to worry about that or process through that. And I actually debated, do I go back in a couple weeks? And when I really sat with myself, when I sat and I quieted my mind and I talked to my husband, he said, no, it'll be fine. Like, it always is fine. The business will be okay. We'll figure it out. And I was like, okay. So we had the newbies, right? Trying to juggle everything. And of course we lost tens of thousands of dollars in revenue every month. But I took the 3 months. I took the 3 months. And what I did during that 3 months was I told myself, I will never, ever, ever experience this again. And that's when I started building my curriculum for my school. Man. That was the turning point.
So instead of lawyering up, you decided to do the opposite. Yeah. Kind of train more people.
Exactly. And get paid for it. Because I was training them for free. I was building their clientele.
Oh, okay. So that was the solution. Okay.
They were my employees. They got an opportunity. They built a clientele and they left. I was always in a lose-lose.
Yeah. You're giving them the rub and then they would just leave with it, right?
It was just a weird setup for me. It didn't feel aligned. And so when I started to think about, okay, I enjoy this. I enjoy empowering. I enjoy training. I enjoy supporting. But I'm at a loss of my time, energy, and money. Every year, every 2 years, whatever the turnover was. And that's when it was just like the school. The school came to me during my maternity leave. I built curriculum. I pushed through. I went back to the treatment room. I built up my business again, and then shortly after that we met. And
that's crazy.
I think it was just a turning point. Yeah.
I think that was the thing, is you've done it before, so you knew you could lose everything and do it again.
Yeah. When it came to the treatment room, I knew I can build that up. I knew I've done this a gazillion times, but how many times do I want to do this? Like, that's my future.
Right.
Your business shows you what your future looks like if you don't make changes, right?
Right.
And it's like, okay, if I do it this way, then this is what I'm going to get. And I just didn't want to get that outcome anymore. I didn't want to feel that way anymore. I didn't want to feel betrayed. I wanted them to feel empowered. But I felt hurt. Like, they felt empowered because I was always like, go girl, like, do your thing. sadness, grief hidden, and then resentment, of course, right? Yeah. And that was just a cycle that I wanted to get out of. Over 10 years, I have all these haters in the industry. I have all this, I'm building my own competition. It was like just such a mind
I can only imagine.
Funk, right? And so the school is what made the most sense. It was like, if I can train them and I can develop them and I can empower them and even give them a place of employment and set them up for success, at least I know the outcome.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, it's been such a different version of you. Like I came in your life 4 years ago when you were just starting it.
And the studio was
still... So Beautiful You Skincare Academy kind of enters in onto stage. And you open that up in Pueblo, and it's just a different version of you that you get to show these people. Because now it's like, I'm training you, and then like it's a whole system that you put in place for that.
Right.
And it's so beautiful. And like, talk about, for one, like how that's different from the studio. Yeah. And then two, talk about like how that's expanded, because that's been super fascinating for me to watch from afar. Yeah. See where you expand, where you kind of are putting these locations strategically to build your business, because that's been a really cool journey to watch, Des. Sure.
Thank you. Well, what I originally thought and believed was that I wanted to scale the studio. I think even when we met, I was like, man, I love this spa. I love what we're doing. And I had a vision for maybe franchising the spa or just adding multi-locations. But when the pattern continued to happen, I realized I have to make a change. And the academy was kind of like a savior to me, really, because it alleviated me from burnout. It provided a new inspiration and a new enthusiasm, right? Because I'm like getting burnt out in the hiring and firing.
Sure.
So it did shift. It shifted. My whole world shifted. And I think that I moved all that energy and all that passion and all that belief into the academy. And what I was trying to do in 12 years that I couldn't even do, I was forcing it. I did in 2.5. And then again in 2.5. It was just like scale, right? And so I started to see like, oh my gosh, the studio is my drain. It's this like, almost like it needed to be put to rest, almost like it was tired. It was like, okay, I did what I needed. It did what it needed to do. And so another adversity that hit me was in 2023. I was getting ready to revamp the whole location of Pueblo. We painted, we wanted to just do this new, fresh outlook on both the spa and the studio. Well, I was trying to buy the building because I had been there for 10 years. So I was like, this is a slam dunk. Yeah. I'm ready to go. I'm ready. I'm in a position to purchase. And we were in negotiation with the owner. And that was in November of 2023. And I remember, just kind of asking for some things, and my husband's a real estate agent, so he's, going to advocate for me. And we thought we were really going to get this deal done. But before I knew it, he was like, we're going to take Thanksgiving to process through this and to see if it's an offer we want to accept. And after Thanksgiving, December 1st hits, and I get served papers. And it was a notice to vacate, which was from my landlord. He was evicting me. And I just couldn't believe it. It was like everything was falling apart because I have my studio and I have my school. And I can't just pick up a school. It's state. I have to go through a state process for that. So I panicked, of course, and my whole world felt like it was crashing down. And I couldn't understand why, but he decided to sell it out from under me. And I was in a month-to-month lease, and I don't recommend this when we talk to business owners now. I trusted that negotiations can happen. I was a longtime tenant. I was paying on time. I didn't feel the rush to put myself into a lease to
lock
be
it in
secure during that time of negotiations. So all he had to give me was 45 days legally.
Oh my gosh.
And
I've
he
never
did.
heard this before. Wow.
Yeah. He gave me 45 days.
Did you tell him you're about to buy it?
Yeah, we were in negotiation with him.
Oh,
yeah.
that's even worse.
Yeah, it was the owner that kicked me out. Yeah.
Oh.
He sold it out from under me because he didn't like the deal, the things that we were asking for.
Okay.
And I didn't even get an opportunity to
Yeah.
negotiate.
Yeah.
I think he just maybe had another connection, is what I'm thinking, maybe. Either way, got sold out from under us.
You probably wouldn't even have the idea if you didn't even bring it up.
It was wild. It was wild to get kicked out and relocate 2 businesses in 45 days.
Oh my gosh.
During Christmas was like crazy. It was just the craziest thing. So
It's like one of those like cartoon visions of the guy smoking a cigar. He's like, it's just business, eh?
It was just insane. And at that moment, I was like, okay, what do we do? Like, there's not a lot of commercial in Pueblo.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of opportunity during holidays to move. I found one location. Well, actually, John found it. And I was like, I don't like it. I don't like it. No. And I ignored it. And I'm like, looking. He's like, Des, like, they're willing to work with us. No, I don't like it. It's not going to work for my spa. I would have to close the spa to do this location. And I was trying to hold on to both. I'm like, I've got to find 4 rooms. I've got to find a classroom. I'm going to find this.
So again, just so our folks know at home too, you're running the studio and
I was still
the
running
academy in the same
building.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same building. One side studio, one side academy. And I wanted to hold on to both, but I was trying to relocate both. Right. And I just couldn't find it. I couldn't find it. The location that John was like, it's going to work. We've got to move. Otherwise, you're closing both. Because what do you do, right? So that was the hardest decision of my life, was to, I wouldn't say like dissolve, but it was a slow disintegration of this studio. We relocated to that new location. The academy was the priority. That was the focus. I had to get that state approved. I had to get that visit locked in. And we ended up with just 2 treatment rooms for the spa. We had to downsize our whole staff, let go of people, lay them off. It was just an awful feeling.
Ugh.
But the academy was fine, right? And so I was like, okay, the academy is okay. We have this whole new cohort starting, and over time, the studio just dissolved, you know? And it was a slow progression. It was like I let go of bits and pieces of it every month. You know, I eventually, you know, changed over the social media from studio to academy. There were slow things that I was like saying goodbye to that part of my life that built me. And I think it's still hard to think about.
That's your baby. That's what started the whole dream for you.
I know. I'm like, geez, why am I getting emotional about that?
It makes a whole lot of sense to me. You had this thing for a decade.
Over a decade.
It transitioned you from the old Des to the Des that we see today. Powerful woman who has a family and just has led. Yes.
Yeah,
and
it's
just
crazy.
has built something so beautiful. And I mean, it was there the whole way. It's like losing anything important to you.
Yeah.
Like for me, like me losing my dog, it was like, okay, it's a dog. It's like, you don't understand. That dog was with me through so much of my life, you know? It's your security blanket.
Yeah.
So
and it builds you.
It builds you. It makes all the sense in the world for it to mean this much to you.
Yeah.
And
the
cool thing about the situation is that it's butterflying into something else.
Yeah, it's butterflying. It evolved.
Yeah, it evolved, right? And so the way I kind of told myself was like, okay, it's like you raise a child. And then they kind of like grow. And then they're just like ready to be on their own. And, you know, it felt like this birthing of the academy was like the new beginning for me, something new to raise. I was more enthusiastic about it. I felt more energized by it. And so while it was hard to let that part of me go, it's placed such a significant you know, it's so significant to my growth and my development. It actually was the catalyst for my healing.
Right.
I think in that
true foundational step to everything.
To everything.
The studio.
Yeah.
That's how we met.
Yeah.
4 years ago.
The studio. Yeah. So I am a different person from when I had the studio, you know, and I think that it's so much easier for me to just trust that my path is unfolding, that I'm right where I'm meant to be. The people around me are meant to be around me. Yeah. And I always struggled with that in the studio, like questioned everything, doubted, self-doubt, right? Like, did I make the right decision? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I on the right path? And so today I feel like I'm on the right path, and I do have a mission and a vision for, you know, what we're doing here. And we're doing it different. We're kind of like revolutionizing the way aesthetics education is being delivered. And I love it.
Yeah, it's been such a beautiful journey just watching it all the way through. And it's kind of funny, like you were talking about the studio, like it represented a lot of different like feelings for you. It's almost like a family member, like a mom or something like that. Like you go back to mom's house and mom says something, but it's not really something that most people around you be like, okay, they said that, but for you, it's a trigger of something from your childhood. And then you go back to young Andrew, young Des, young Marcus, and you're like, it's that dynamic there that pulls in those
emotions.
Yeah, those old emotions.
They just stay there. They live there. And you're like, okay, well, thank you. Yeah. But I don't need that anymore. I'm good. I'm good now.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of adversity to get here. It still is.
Yeah. When you look back at those, and I know you don't probably get too much time to ever reflect on all this stuff that you've shared with us today, but there's some foundational things that, like, again, you through your faith, like, you can see it backwards, right? Everything's, backwards is 2020. When now that you're retrospectively looking at this whole thing, how do you see some of these crazy tribulations in your career, in your life, to build the woman that you are today? How have they helped with that?
Yeah, I think, wow, they're just like monumental, right? They're like those pivotal moments in your life where you thought were going to break you and destroy you, that actually like built more grit, more resilience, more faith. I look back to who I was, the prison girlfriend, and I was like, I am not even that person. Like, I don't even recognize that person, because today I'm like, okay, like I am so confident in what we're doing. I am so in love with the mission behind what we're doing. And I don't know where that comes from. I think it just comes from just perseverance, like being able to look back on your path and say, oh, okay, I got through that. Like, right. Okay, cool. And then another win, right? Another win. And the little small wins build character, and they build your inner strength. And then you've got the big things, right? Those big moments of just adversity that were meant to destroy me. And I'm not going to lie, there were times where I almost wanted to give up. I'm not going to sit here and say like the self-doubt didn't creep in, because when I got kicked out of the building, I was like, I don't know if I've got it in me.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've got it in me. But it's the people around you
100%
that encourage and push and believe, because sometimes we can't do it on our own. And that goes back to that day in the prison, the borrowed belief from the mom. I borrowed John's belief. I borrowed my daughter's belief. I borrowed the students' belief. They're like, we can't go. Like, no, we want this. Okay, I'll figure it out. And so for me, the woman I am is like the most gritty, the most resilient woman that probably you'll ever meet. I don't know. I know a lot of women go through a lot of hard things, but I have not given up. And that's the biggest thing, right? Don't give up. Just don't give up.
It's so important
just don't even give up.
For your tribe to be around you. I want to tell them,
don't give up, because you don't even know what's on the other side of that. You'll never know. And it could be so beautiful, and it could be so abundant. And had I given up, I wouldn't have had Colorado Springs. Littleton, whatever, like, all these different campuses we have across Colorado happened because I didn't give up.
What served you well, friend, right? Every time you haven't given up and there's certain uncertainties in your life.
Yeah.
Life shows a way, right? The people around you pick you up when you need them most. Yeah. And I know you're in a new phase of your life because you just moved to Colorado Springs.
I know. I'm a newbie to Colorado Springs.
And again, another uncertainty, right? Because now you have to restart over with your local network and like the businesses here. And how do you garner business in this town? Because it's so spread out. And like, that's like a whole new thing you have to figure out algorithm wise, and people you need to meet and network with and all those things too. And it will serve you, friend, because you've never given up on anything in your life. Yeah. So this phase is only going to serve you more, and you don't know, you can't see it. None of us can see it yet, but it's going to work. Yeah. Because the one thing that's true is that you have the grit to get through it. Yeah. That's the only thing.
Thanks for that reminder. Cause I think this isn't, it's a really kind of challenging time in my life. It's shifting and changing and developing new relationships, and all of that is scary, but it's also exciting because it's like you never know what's going to lead to what. And so that's what I'm looking forward to, is just being here and being plugged into this community and being a part of it. I love business. I love entrepreneurship. And so I'm hoping that just by being here, I'm going to make some new connections, help other entrepreneurs in their journey. Yeah. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy for you to be here for sure. What's one piece of advice Des now would tell Des starting day one, only 30 wax brow clients stepping into that booth? Like, if you could speak to her into her ear right now, what would you say to her?
I would tell her, you've got what it takes. You're more than capable. You're going to have so many people around you that believe in you. And never, ever give up on your dreams. When you have a vision, believe it. Believe in your vision. Because so many people are not always going to be cheerleaders. And I think that for me, I had that in my life. Just the naysayers, the ones rooting against me. But I rooted for me. I was always the one like, you've got this. You've got what it takes. Keep it going. Don't give up. It was my inner voice that led me here, with borrowed belief along the way, of course. But she was sad. She was broken. And I also want to tell her you're beautiful, because I didn't feel that back then. But I do now. So it's been great. It's been such a cool journey, and I love that I have daughters to like kind of help them through their hard moments in life when they feel like lack or not good enough, right? Because so many women feel that. And that was probably why, more than anything, Beautiful You was created, to be a space for women to like learn to love themselves again.
So
the self-love part. Yeah.
Women inherently are very selfless and give themselves. I've seen it in so many ways, but a mother especially, gives up part of their body to give delivery to a child, to raise kids, to, do so much for their family, to be that nurturer in the family. And so I feel like you give so much space for the women who want to step out on their own and just know they can do something, that they can accomplish something, and have the confidence to look back and be like, I went through that and I did that.
Yeah. That is my biggest message, and my biggest hope that people take away from this is just know that you're more capable than you think. You're smarter than you think. You're equipped. And you know what? God will equip you, even if you don't feel equipped. He will equip you and give you everything you need to get to where you want to go. Yeah, that's what I had to lean on. I was like, there's that verse of God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. And that was what I felt my whole journey. It's like, okay, I don't feel equipped, but somehow I'm going to have what I need and do what I need to do to get to where I need to get. So hopefully men and women feel that, I know there's men too that struggle with, what's my purpose? Where am I going? What's my path? And just don't give up. Like, just continue to believe that there's meaningful work out there for you, and there's purposeful work, and you don't have to like know what it looks like right away. That it will all unfold.
That resonates beautifully for any of us here, because we're all entrepreneurs here, and we all know what it means to be in that struggle when you think that all you're trying to do is create something special to share with other people.
Right.
And it seems like at times that the universe, all it's doing is working against you. It feels like that sometimes. Yeah. And like, I feel like so many people at home need that reminder.
That it's working for you.
It's working for you. Everything's working for you.
Exactly.
It's hard to trust it, but when you trust it,
it'll work
that's
out.
when you know you're on the right path. It'll work out.
Hey, John said that too. He's like, hey, honey, it's going to work out.
I know. He told me that very first, he invested in me. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's so important, is sometimes we have to realize, like, there are people that will believe in us when we don't believe in ourselves. We just have to take a baby step, and the path will unfold. The steps will unfold. The clarity will come, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen perfectly. None of my entrepreneurial journey was perfect. It was so messy. It was so scary, and it was so uncertain. But it's also led me to have fruitful, outcomes. Right. And I just feel very content in what I'm doing and the work that my contribution,
Yeah, well, you have people who are always watching and seeing what you're doing, and super proud. Like, I've been
from
afar for a long time, just like following you and seeing your guys' success.
Thank you.
Oftentimes, a lot of entrepreneurs think that they're kind of out on their own, but like, I'm always there to support you. Now we have Andrew, who's just finally met you. He's going to be supporting you. Yeah.
Yes, some people in my corner. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
this has been awesome.
Thank you so much for being vulnerable with us. That
of course,
means everything to us, and I think a lot of people oftentimes look at entrepreneurship just like probably all of us did when we first got into it. It's like sunshines and rainbows, free time, vacations. Like there's a lot of grit that not many people will understand unless they've been in it.
Yeah, you gotta go through it, and it's not for everyone, and that's okay. And don't feel ashamed if it's not for you. I think that's another part to entrepreneurship that sometimes we have to explore: is it for me? Is it still for me? Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah, like that you said, still for me, because sometimes that can change.
That can change, right? It's okay to change your path. Mm-hmm. Like, we get to change our path as many times as we want, and I just love the empowerment part of that. It's like you are in control of your future, you are in control of your destiny, and you've just got to take your power back and believe in yourself, and like just go where you feel called. Yeah, so. I felt called to come here, and I know there's a reason I'm in Springs, and I'm excited to launch my new business here, and I think it's going to be good.
Well, we got your back. Don't you worry about that, Des.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. It feels good.
Absolutely. Well, this is your camera right here. Where can we find you, Des?
Yes, you can find us by visiting beautifulyouSkincareAcademy.com. And you can also see us on Instagram at BY Skincare Academy. Thank you.
Right. If you like this episode and got value from it, make sure to leave a comment. And also, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, which we don't let people know, we're on all of those places. You can leave a review if you feel so compelled to do. Yeah. And we'll see you guys on the next one.